Beard. This is Fans Talk Wrestling. It's a weekly conversation where fans talk the wrestling world in all of its laughable glory. My name is Garvin, and with us tonight is Nick. Say hello, Nick.
Hello, Nick.
And, of course, this is St. Patrick's Day. Hopefully you guys are not too drunk. But we have brought on our friend, Adam. Say hello, Adam.
Hello.
And happy St. Patrick's Day to you, sir.
Thank you very much. Happy St. Patrick's Day to you as well.
And we also brought on Harrison. Welcome back, Harrison.
You know, it's a Tuesday. You people really should not be that drunk.
Beanbags.
Yeah, beanbags.
Beanbags in the live chat. I'm pretty confident has been drunk for the last 12 hours at least. He's been posting the storm in the Facebook group. So
that's a man after my own heart.
You know what? I salute that dedication with my glass of water.
This is episode 258. It was recorded live on March 17th, 2015, right around 8 p.m. Eastern on FTWLive.com. Tonight, we'll be covering the March 16th episode of WWE Raw and how it affects the current WrestleMania 31 card. Plus, we'll take a look at the last few weeks of NXT and the upcoming Kevin Owens versus Finn Balor match, as well as read and respond to your Ask FTW questions. FTW is a podcast series that is brought to you exclusively by the paid members of the FTW community, as well as out of our own pockets. Our goal for Patreon, which we're reaching thanks to you guys, is all about covering the cost of doing the show each and every week, without fearing like, you know, we're going to be missing a bill or anything. So, we aren't looking to live off of the support, but the podcast itself should be able to. To become a member and keep this show funded, go to fanstalkwrestling.com, click the big green button, and pledge $1 a month or more. And a quick reminder before we begin that we do read and respond to all of your comments. So if you're listening on demand, you can post those comments wherever you're at, whether it's YouTube, Facebook, Google Plus, or Twitter. Currently, YouTube is the place to keep the conversation going. We're seeing a lot of new commenters just joining the conversation, which is really cool, especially for Fans Talk Lucha. You can also send in topics to questions@ftwpodcast.com and anywhere else using the hashtag AskFTW. And if you're in the live chat right now, please remember to use the hashtag AskFTW. That way we can make sure to try and bring those comments into the discussion as we go. All right, guys, let's jump right into WWE. Obviously, the big push over the last month or so has been towards WrestleMania 31.
Has it?
Yeah.
I haven't noticed.
We talked pretty extensively last week about it. We're going to continue with that this week. And then, next week is going to be our WrestleMania 31 pre-show, which, I don't know if you guys heard the news, but botchspot.com, just released their updated WrestleMania game board, which is really cool. It's like a road to WrestleMania journey. We played it.
You are a hero.
Yeah, we played it last year. It was a lot of fun on the WrestleMania 30 game board for that pre-show. So we're going to do it again this year. I think we're going to try to do it a little bit differently, but we'll throw some announcements out as soon as we get all that prepared. But this week in the ongoing hashtag GiveDivasAChance saga, I think we might have finally got something. AJ versus Nikki Bella. They got over 10 minutes this week. They got the time, but did they take advantage of that time? What do you guys think?
Wait a second, before we get started.
Yeah.
Now, Nikki Bella, is she Bella Plus or Bella Classic?
The one with the championship?
So Bella Plus then.
Yes.
Yeah, Bella Plus.
Not Bella Classic, the one that we've had for 2 or 3 years before, let's say, some enhancements.
Correct.
Okay, she's made some improvements since her version 1.
Version 1.
It's not original flavor Bella.
She's Bella Light.
No, what we saw in the ring was not Bella Light. That was heavyweight stuff. She looked great. Her and AJ, I thought that match was, I thought it was fantastic, to be honest with you. The problem with AJ is that she can really she's kind of like got that Daniel Bryan kind of flavor to her where she can almost make anybody look good. But Nikki on her own just stood up, and I thought she did fantastic. If this is what they could do with 10 minutes, I'm really excited to see what they could do if they could fill a full 15 minutes. Felt like it got a little light some points of the match, like they kind of dragged some stuff on. But for the most part, I thought it was great.
Yeah, I completely agree. That was a pretty good match by itself. Throw Paige and Brie into the mix, and yeah, I think you've got a pretty good foundation for an excellent match.
Yeah, I would also agree. It's a pretty good match. The only, and it's kind of nitpicky, the only thing that I really didn't enjoy from that match was probably the interaction between Nikki and Paige while they were outside the ring. I don't know, it kind of didn't come off like totally believable.
Yeah, it came off as wooden, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it came off like, like someone told them ringside to do it right then and there. They kind of didn't really have a plan on what they were going to do. So it was kind of, I don't know. I mean, what? Paige threw Nikki threw Paige into the post, and then it was just kind of like a little...
Brie,
okay.
yeah, Brie did.
Yeah, Bella Light.
Bella Light threw Paige into the post, and then that was a little bit of a brawl, but it wasn't really...
I think she did something to AJ too, but...
It was a distraction, but in
a good way.
Yeah, it wasn't needed. Like, we were seeing some really good things from this match, and for that to be, because that was pretty much how they ended it. It was that distraction outside,
that was the finish.
And then we got to the finish. So, so overall, I really had no other complaints about that match either. I thought it was really good. A man deep on Google Plus reached out and he said, I think Nikki Bella is awesome. She has completely won me over during the past year, for sure. She doesn't have the charisma or character of AJ, nor the wrestling skills of Paige, but if you take into account both character and in-ring work, I think she's the most complete all-around performer in the Divas division. Now, I know that's not a popular statement, and so does Amandeep. That's not a popular statement that you hear in the IWC, but is it time for us to really consider that Nikki is basically one of the better wrestlers on the WWE roster as far as total package goes?
Yes, with a couple of asterisks.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Looking at Nikki now versus a year ago, hands down, the difference is night and day. It's amazing. It really has. She's really stepped up, and she's really starting to hit her prime. The other thing though is Total Divas is really helping her with that, because I think she's getting a lot of real acting coaching and mic work, and she's getting a lot more in front of an audience and immediate feedback. So that feedback loop of her delivering a mic performance and then having that come back to find out if it works, that feedback loop is really short. So she's able to get a lot better at the mic stuff, a lot better, and her performance, like just acting in the ring, like selling moves, working with another person. She's gotten a lot better with that. Here's the thing though. I think AJ and Paige are wrestling. Okay, I think AJ and Paige are wrestling down to her level. I don't see when I see Nikki, I don't see Nikki getting into the ring with somebody and elevating that other person. That match is only whatever match Nikki Bella gets into is only going to be as good as Nikki Bella. You're never going to see anything like show stopping like you would see with AJ or Paige. They have that X factor that when they get into a match, you have the potential of seeing something amazing, like with Daniel Bryan or with CM Punk when he would wrestle too. Same thing with Jericho was great with this. It never wrestled down to their level. It was always like whatever was happening would be elevated and would be better because they're in it. Nikki Bella, I don't know if it's because of her personality, if she's not comfortable, or if it's just talent and she just doesn't have it. I don't know what it is, but most complete all-around performer, okay, but I just think it's because AJ and Paige are coming down to her level, and if I had to say complete, I'd probably give it to, I don't even know if it would be a toss-up between AJ and Paige. Maybe Paige, just because it feels like AJ is getting kind of stale almost. But anyway, as far as Nikki goes, that's my opinion. I think she's getting so much better, but she's just not at that level of, oh great, Nikki's in the match. This is going to be great. It's going to be, oh, Nikki's in the match. This is going to be as good as any other Nikki match would be.
Yeah, I could definitely agree with that. Nikki's definitely gotten a lot better. I might put her in the top 5 divas on the main roster. She's gotten pretty good as far as in-ring ability goes. On the mic, no, she and Brie both have the same problem of if they're not being complete total mean girls about everything just comes off as wooden.
Yeah.
And it's weird because you bring up Total Divas, and since they've been doing that for a few years, you'd think that they'd have lost that a bit, but no, they really haven't. So I can't agree with Amandeep's statement about how good Nikki is, but it is absolutely past time that we got over the Bellas. They can't wrestle. They're just models. They're bimbos. They hang on Cena and Daniel Bryan's coattails. That's the only reason they're in the spot they are now. I think it's way past time we got over that, because both of the Bellas have improved drastically from where they were a year ago.
Well, hang on, Nick, about that. I don't want to, straw man arguments and everything. Has there really been that much of an argument that these two don't deserve the spotlight that they've gotten? Because they were making names for themselves even before they got involved with Daniel Bryan and John Cena at all.
Yeah, you don't see as much of it now. Not with Total Divas, not with the improvements they have made.
Okay.
But yeah, I've seen a lot of that flavor of argument, especially over on G+.
Well, you can't count that thing. I mean, that's just all Google employees complaining about wrestling.
Yeah. Yeah, it's there. It's gotten better, but yeah, that flavor of response is definitely still there as far as Bellas go.
Sure.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way that Nick and Harrison feel. Definitely, it's time to move on from that opinion. I still couldn't necessarily say that Nikki is the complete package of what you would want a diva to be. Definitely improvements, as has been said already. Definitely things I've seen. I mean, honestly, I remember a time when the Rack Attack just really didn't look that devastating, and last night it did. I mean, that looked like a finish. You could kind of give some credit to AJ because she's great at doing the Stone Cold spread eagle sell, but but also I think Nikki did her part as well, and again, just it's time to get over the fact that they can't wrestle. I do agree with Nick. I think they can use some significant improvement in other areas, but
right.
As far as the wrestling goes, that's pretty solid from both of them. Yeah,
and from the live chat, we've got agreement that the Bellas are better for sure. Blue Cactor is saying the problem with the Bellas is no one has ever really cared what they were doing while they are better in the ring now and can deliver good matches. That is still a problem. And the only counter to that argument, I mean, because generally speaking, the divas in general have never really gotten a great reaction, at least in the last 5 years or so. But this week, I think we saw something different. This week, it seemed like the crowd was actually given something that they can get behind. So yeah, while they might not have been behind Nikki specifically, the fans were given an opportunity to finally see something that was worth getting behind, regardless of who was in the ring. So, but that's the main issue for me. I think what Nikki's doing is good, like you guys have said, but it's hard to say she is better or worse than anyone on the roster when this is the first time we've gotten longer than 5 minutes in a long time. It's really, you can't compare, at this point. So yeah, you can say Nikki, is the full package. She's, as far as having good traits of both sides, but at the same time, you can't really compare her to anyone else because no one else is really getting that same opportunity. But hopefully that changes. So Raw this week, while I have seen some negative, comments about it, per the normal, one thing that I noted was that nothing felt filler this week. It seemed like everything that happened, built towards something that was happening at, WrestleMania 31. So, while we're still 2 weeks away, generally when we are building towards a pay-per-view, this week, as well as the week before, the week after, it seems to always have some kind of filler, something that doesn't necessarily have anything to do with what they're building. But this week I thought was pretty solid in that everything meant something and was going towards that goal, which is WrestleMania 31. So out of what happened this week on Raw, do you like the progression of these stories, or do you still feel like that WWE is falling a bit flat there?
I'm interested in some of the stories. Rollins versus Orton, surprisingly for me, that's actually starting to look a little bit interesting because the Authority seems to be abandoning Rollins, at least some of them.
Okay, but we've seen this storyline before.
Sure. It's not necessarily the storyline itself that's interesting me so much as what could result from it, like a Rollins face turn when the Authority does abandon it.
Sure, yeah, it was definitely nice to see them tease it, but like we saw in the main event, everyone was back on Rollins' side, so it was just kind of like a way to get Randy Orton basically caught off guard. But overall, like I do like the idea that they might be separating the two. We saw some similar ideas before they separated from Randy Orton when Randy Orton was at odds with the team. So yeah, overall, I do like the idea, Nick.
Well, that's the irony, though, is that they did this with Orton, 4 or 5 months ago, or 6 months ago. I mean, it was the same thing. It was like, okay, well, Orton was a part of the Authority, and then they started it was a year ago. They started to separate from him, and then it was always there's some conflict there, specifically between Orton and Triple H. Now there's conflict there between Rollins and Triple H, and it's like, well, we already saw this storyline. I mean, up until like last night when. The only reason Sting's in there is just because they're teasing the match there. I don't know. Like, I understand where you're coming from, Nick, but I'm looking at this going, well, we already saw this play. I mean, I already caught the matinee of this before, but okay, cool. Now we get a new character playing the main event. Rollins is going to be the guy now. That's neat.
Yeah, to be honest, I just really want to see face Rollins again because I really enjoy face Rollins.
Oh, no, good point.
Well, and a different story overall. I mean, again, we've been dealing with the Authority ganging up on whoever their opponent is at the time, and it is getting very, very tired. I want to see what Rollins can do on his own. I want to see more use of the Money in the Bank case. That seems like to be tertiary compared to everything else that Rollins is doing, and I think that's a major shame. They should be using that in the story. They should be trying to do something different with Rollins, and showcase how great of a wrestler he is. Like, we really haven't seen anything from Rollins since his triple threat match with Lesnar and Cena, and I think they should have continued to push Rollins at that level.
Yeah, definitely agree with all that too. I don't know. There's something more than just. I mean, definitely the Authority being involved in storylines is a big kind of repetitive thing that's been happening for a while. But at the same time, it feels like there's more than that. Like, I don't know. I know we've never really seen Rollins and Randy Orton. Sorry, I totally blanked right there for some reason. But anyway, we've never really seen them fight, but I almost feel, I guess kind of like what you guys are saying, like, I feel like we have, based on how the story's been going. And I definitely want to see it. I think their styles can mesh pretty well together, but outside of that, like, the story it's not appealing. I really didn't feel like Randy had done anything really significant to gain Seth Rollins' trust from a couple weeks ago. This week I will admit I didn't totally see it coming until it happened with the Authority leaving, and then Rollins coming back and everybody's one big happy family again. I didn't expect that, and that at least not initially. And that was pretty good. I thought they did that pretty well.
Oh, agreed. Because you look at the flip side of that when Randy was, talking up everyone in the ring, it was obvious he was going to turn against Rollins later on that night.
Definitely.
But this was the opposite. Yeah, this was, this was a better way to tell that story.
Definitely. And just as, another comparison, you look at Randy, talking up all those guys and then kind of talking them down and getting in Rollins' face. And I don't know. To me, it just kind of makes Rollins look really dumb, for lack of a better word, because, I mean, he did the whole, like, I'm going to beat the crap out of you. I'm just kidding. Like, no worries, man. It's all good. And Rollins is like, oh, cool. Yeah, you're totally kidding. Like, I have no question. Like, I don't know. It's a little too much. Right. But this week, I thought was a lot better. So.
All right, so a lot of our other topics are going to be talking about WrestleMania 31, so I'm going to hold off pushing those. Let's talk about the Hall of Fame inductions. We got a new name this week, Larry Zybysko. Larry Zybysko joins Randy Savage, the Bushwhackers, Alun the Blaze, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and Rikishi in this year's Hall of Fame. Do you like the addition of Larry Zybysko, and do you think it elevates this Hall of Fame class at all? Because I know a lot of people are, us included, are not totally stoked about this class. We're stoked about Savage, but everyone else has been kind of meh. But Larry Zybysko, do you like that name?
For what he did in WCW, yeah. I mean, that's where I'm coming from with it. I mean, the man really made a name for himself. I mean, it was before WCW, but WCW is where he really, like, turned up the heat on that. His wrestling career was pretty good. I didn't know he was Bruno Sammartino's kind of protege.
Yeah, neither did I.
I totally didn't know that either.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. Even that, I mean, the dude, come on. For us, the guy's known for what he did on WCW. And for what he did on WCW, yeah, I mean, why not? I mean, look who else is on here. I mean, they got Arnold Schwarzenegger on here for crying out loud.
You know, and it's amazing to think that Zybysko started his heel turn at that point in his career. And I don't think he ever went back to face.
No, he was like Mr. Perfect. He was just like, he was too good of a heel. And he was really good at playing that swarmy kind of like, oh, dude, no, don't do that. I mean, he was like, what Larry Zybysko strikes me at, his heel character on WCW, and I always felt this way, is that he always struck me as the high school bully who went on to own a bowling alley. And so he was like that asshole at the bowling alley that you had to deal with when you went bowling, but he was like the jerk who, like, with the thinning hair, and he knew his best days were behind him, and he just wanted to beat up on kids because he was like, oh, you remind me of everything I couldn't be, and I'm not now. But for whatever reason, I always thought that guy really could be just an asshole that owns a bowling alley.
It's a pretty astute description.
I always thought so. Well, thank you. But yeah. Anyway, sorry. That's my thing.
Did you guys ever have the opportunity to watch like the old AWA tapes when they played like on ESPN or ESPN Classic or anything like that?
I did not.
Because I caught up on so much of Larry Zybysko's career because of that. Like, just like how we really started to mold that character to what we saw in WCW. I thought it was really cool. So I don't know if all of that is available on the WWE network, but if you guys have the network, I'm sure there's a lot of footage there for Larry Zybysko. I'm in agreement with you, Harrison. I think this totally adds a lot of credibility to this class. The live chat's pretty similar in those feelings as far as that Larry adds to it. And they're actually seemingly positive about the class. This is something I haven't really seen on the internet. But it seems like everyone in our live chat tonight, Diva Jill, Beanbags, Blue, Robert, everyone seems to be really positive about at least liking this class, liking the people that are a part of it. Diva Jill said she's excited about the Bushwhackers induction, which I am as well. I know Joe is. So, yeah. Any other thoughts for this class and Larry Zybysko?
One thing that I kind of feel, I understand it couldn't be mentioned, at least from WWE side, but something that I as far as the Bushwhackers going in, that I feel I wish could be touched upon was their career before WWE, much like they did with Zybysko. Granted, their career before WWE was quite a bit more violent and bloodthirsty, but I wish in some facets someone would have made mention of that, because, a lot of people are saying, oh, they're just the guys that do the stupid little walk everywhere. And it's like they were in WWE, but I mean, they actually had some talent and, outside of WWE and in it as well. I mean, they were, as has been said before, they were pretty entertaining. So
yeah, I'm really trusting in that WWE will do them justice once we get to the Hall of Fame ceremony. So yeah, I think they did a bad job at selling these guys in the promotion for it. You know, as far as the announcement goes, because yeah, they only really showed WWE footage, and what we know of their career in the WWF, they weren't the best tag team. They weren't even close to that level, but they're more of the comedy characters. But yeah.
Well, they did make reference to all the tag titles they won before coming to WWE.
Yeah. But as far as really showcasing that, I think we'll have to wait until the Hall of Fame ceremony to really see that.
I don't even think we are, because the narrative that I've seen from like Bushwhackers and some of these other acts that are like that is that what the WWE wants to showcase is, hey, you made a name for yourself in WWE, WWF, or WWF, or AWA in like the WWF lineage. And then you went, and that catapulted you to then go on to do good things in other places. But then you came back home, and that's why we're going to put you in the Hall of Fame. Yeah. They don't like people who make a name for themselves elsewhere and then come to the WWE and do not better work.
Well, at least elsewhere that they don't own the footage for.
That's a good clarification.
No,
that's a fair point. Yeah.
You're right.
Because like Larry Zybysko is a great example of someone who really didn't make a big impact in WWE, but had a very long and storied career that honestly deserves to be in the Hall of Fame, and they're giving him that credit for it. So that I think kind of.
But look at the story that they. No, you're absolutely right, Adam. And look at the story that they told with that on Raw, which was Larry Zybysko was the heir apparent to Bruno Sammartino. Right. He won 2 championships in the AWA. The guy was, and they kept showing like what happened when he turned on Sammartino. Again, I had no idea that happened because I didn't even know that was involved. It was basically his entire career in the in the AWA. We were all like, oh really? I only know him from WCW. And then they just kind of went to the WCW and went, and he made a name for himself in WCW, doing some amazing things and standing up to the NWO and became a voice for them. It was almost like on parody, when really when you look at these two things on paper, you're like, no, he did jack all in AWA before he went to WCW. He was in WCW. That's where his career was. But the story that they're telling was what he did in AWA and the WWF, maybe. Anyway.
But they own that footage.
That's true.
So it's okay for them to promote that. Yeah. I guess in the grand scheme of things, the Bushwhackers are kind of like that outlier because, they made a name for themselves outside of the States. They were, wherever they were, Australia and New Zealand and all all of those places. So, and that footage isn't necessarily available. If you look at all of the guys that made a name for themselves outside of WWE or WCW, it was companies that they bought footage from, they bought all of those libraries from. So, this is kind of odd. And now I'm second guessing that maybe WWE will be able to do them justice. I don't think they can because they don't have that footage.
I don't think it's because of footage. I think it's just, well, you know what? It might be footage. All right.
All right. We will talk more about the Hall of Fame ceremony as we get, next week. Next week is the final week before WrestleMania 31. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. I hear there's going to be another name. Kevin Nash is the rumor right now.
Mm-hmm.
But
with Savage? No, I want to save that for a different one.
That's how I feel too. But there is the rumor that they're going to add Nash and this is totally sacrilege and awful if this is true. But supposedly, they want to make Nash the headliner over Savage. How awful would that be? How awful?
Yeah. That.
All right.
I can see that happening, just given the size of Nash's ego. But
yeah,
only if they induct him as Oz.
Let's be honest here, guys. If this WWE Hall of Fame class was an airplane and it crashed, it would be Randy Savage and 6 other individuals die in a plane crash. Well, really, it'd be Arnold Schwarzenegger. But, I mean, in the world of professional wrestling, it would be Randy Savage and 6 others. It would not be, it would not be Kevin Nash and 6 others. It would be Randy Savage. I mean, he's the headliner.
He's our main event for the Hall of Fame.
Exactly, yeah.
All right, so we got quite a bit more developments as far as WrestleMania 31 goes. As far as the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, we got the additions of Goldust, Heath Slater, and Mark Henry. So, for whatever reason, they killed Goldust versus Stardust, which seemed to be the obvious choice. But we do get Stardust and Daniel Bryan in the IC title match. So now it is a 7-man, let me count that again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
7, yeah.
7-man, Money in the Bank style ladder match for the IC title. Real quick, what's your guys' thoughts about Daniel Bryan in the IC title race as it stands right now? Do you think that's a bad move?
I don't think it's necessarily a bad move. It's not the move that I would like to see, but I think similar to Cena going after the US title, it could lend credibility if he wins. That said, honestly, I really don't know who might win this match, and I definitely don't feel like it's going to be Bryan. I feel like he's going to do some great stuff, and he's going to be really entertaining, but I just don't see him winning the IC title. That said, if he does, and potentially the only other scenario that I would enjoy seeing Cena win the US title, potential for a US and IC title unification between the two of them would be pretty great. I mean, I was live for their SummerSlam match, and I love that. So that would be pretty cool, but I don't know if it's going to go that way. I don't feel like it's going to go that way, but it could, I guess. Donald
Paulton in the Facebook group did share that theory as well. As far as the unification, I wasn't going to bring it into the conversation tonight, but yeah, I don't know. We don't need another unification match. It would be a great match. Don't get me wrong, but to unify the title, I don't know about that. Harrison, Nick and I spent quite a bit of time last week talking about Daniel Bryan and the IC title match. What's your thoughts on it? Do you like him there?
Love it. Absolutely love it. For exactly the reason that Donald posted on Facebook, and that he's, basically what Donald posted on Facebook is exactly it. The WWE is trying to make it a main event belt again, especially when the WWE champion can't be there all the time. He can't. I mean, you can keep talking about how Brock Lesnar is the one-on-one in the one-on-one or whatever, but the thing is, the fact of the matter is, Brock Lesnar wasn't there last night.
Yeah.
He had a video package. He wasn't there the week before. And he'll be there next week, but that's just, a tease. Maybe. Here's the thing. The idea of the WWE champion appearing on WWE programming is a trump card to fade out Roman Reigns before his match against the WWE champion. That is where the belt is right now. That it appearing on television will freak out its opponent. You gotta have the IC and the US titles stand up a little bit more. Besides, if only to shut up Joe, so he stops complaining about the heritage these two things have lost. But really, yeah, they're elevating the belt. I love Daniel Bryan in the match. I hope he wins. If he doesn't, I'm okay with that. I think Ambrose will be pretty good. Stardust, look, let's be honest. After what we saw on Raw, this is going to be a fantastic match. All 7 of these guys, I mean, this is going to be a fantastic match. Is there any doubt, really?
Oh, it's going to be a good match. I don't think you need Daniel Bryan in that match to make it a good match. You don't need R-Truth in that match to make it a good match. I think, but as far as the match itself, this is the match I'm looking forward to, just to see what happens. There's a lot of star power in here. You cannot deny that. I mean, there's a lot of people angry that Daniel Bryan's involved in it. But like you said, like Donald Paulton posted, this could be the development that we've really wanted for the IC title, where it has become important. And I feel like the way that they've told the story, while kind of sketch as far as everyone stealing the title, it's adding that comedy element to it, but it's getting so many people involved, so many guys that we see as main event level talent. I think there's nothing but good that can come out of that.
Oh, absolutely. No, each one of these guys, like you said, this is the match. This is definitely one of the top 2 matches to look forward to at WrestleMania, because any one of these guys, it's going to go from 0 to 100 in a millisecond. It's just going to turn into an incredible spot fest out of nowhere. It's going to be like the old Hardy matches, where just out of nowhere, things would just get insane and incredible. So that's what's going to happen with these guys, hands down. I'm sorry, Nick.
Yes, I have no doubt that this will be a good match. And I've been entertained by the build thus far, with Barrett losing the title belt to everybody and his mother, and Truth pretending to be a ninja while he makes off with the title all these different times. I've enjoyed that. I don't understand I don't understand the match composition. I don't get why Daniel Bryan's in there. Not when you've already got Ambrose and Ziggler, and to a lesser extent, Harper and Stardust. Like, those 6 guys, before Daniel Bryan was added, that was a great match all by itself. I don't understand why you're putting Daniel Bryan, who has only recently come back from injury. I don't understand why you're putting him in a ladder match. Where that is just an injury.
Good point.
That's an injury festival.
Yeah.
You got Ziggler in there too, for that matter, and he's king of concussions. He can't seem to get enough of them. So this seems
I feel
really
like
risky.
I feel like that should be like a slogan for some kind of product.
Yeah, like Daniel Bryan's out of Costco getting concussions on sale. My, these concussions are such high quality, and it's so great for my family. And his wife's there going, honey, you know I don't like when you hog the concussions. And he's like, oh, sweetie, I know. We'll share it with the whole family with the Concussion Plus pack, now in extra large.
And then Ziggler busts in, I can't get enough.
I can't get enough of these concussions.
Blue Cactor is throwing out Injury Fest 15.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, maybe we should take over-unders on how many guys walk out at the end of this match.
So, 2 points. One, Robert in the live chat's throwing out, that he hates the word spot fest. We should stop saying that. It's just going to be a great match. And yeah, you're right, Robert. This is going to be a fantastic match. In that, it's going to be I don't know. A spot fest does have a negative connotation to it, but in this capacity, in this match, I think it just means, for me at least, I don't know about you, Harrison, because I think you're the one that said it, but there's just going to be so much going on, and every single thing is going to feel awesome. It's going to, everyone involved in this match is just fantastic for a lot of fans, especially us.
Why does a spot fest have a negative connotation? A spot fest is basically just, okay, we're taking the pacing, we're amping it up a little bit. I mean, just because
spot fest usually means like finisher, and
yeah,
the match.
There's no like quality wrestling in it.
There's the implication that the guys doing spot fest can't actually wrestle a match. But yeah, I don't get why we're using, I think it's safe to say none of us are using that term in a negative connotation.
Yeah. Agreed.
Of course not.
Oh. Like, I mean, I can be a music snob as much as anybody, but I listen to Mumford & Sons all the time on Spotify, and everybody's like, oh, it's just growl, acoustic guitar, and stomping. It's like, yeah, but it's good. It doesn't matter. I mean, why yuck somebody's yum? I mean, if I like vanilla ice cream, I like vanilla ice cream. So if this guy's, want to just like throw sprinkles and M&Ms on that shit and just wrap it up, man, I really want to go to, God, I want to go to Cold Stone Creamery right now so bad.
Do you miss Mitchell's ice cream?
I really do. Actually, you know what I miss? Not just Mitchell's, but Toff's. Toff's ice cream
right?
out in Sandusky. That's the shiznit right there. I bet my wife's in the other room and she's just nodding.
Would you say that you just can't get enough ice cream?
Moving on.
All right, so I think that was that my first point? I felt like there was something else I wanted to say.
I don't know, maybe.
Yeah, that was one.
I'm sure there was something else there.
I've got
Nick. I'm sorry, Nick. You were talking about that you didn't necessarily like Daniel Bryan here, and I've read that so many times. Fans don't like that Daniel Bryan is involved in this match. Where else do you put him on this card?
Armbar. Because I mean, look at who's in that match. Right now, I think we've got Big Show, Kane, and Mark Henry as favorites to win that match.
Favorites, yeah.
Yeah. Nobody under the age of 40.
I really want Titus O'Neil to win it, but I want Titus O'Neil to win everything.
I'm sorry. Curtis Axel's also part of this match.
Axelmania, baby. God, that's
judging by how
this
things
is obviously where he's
going
to be eliminated.
Oh yeah, he'll be great. First one.
Technically, he was eliminated last night.
Yeah, that's
true.
He
was.
It's true.
Yeah, so he was. Yeah, but he was one of the last men standing.
Yeah,
which means he won't be on Sunday. That's for sure.
He got the Santino spot.
Yes, that's it. He's going to be the Santino spot.
I just think it was. I don't see who they can put in on the level of a Daniel Bryan that isn't already involved in another match.
Didn't they say there was going to be 50?
In this match?
In the armbar?
No.
Good.
Well, how many people did they say was going to be in the armbar?
Last year.
People in the ring?
No. Last year there was 31. They have not said a number, at least on the website.
I thought they said on Raw someone threw out 50.
No.
I mean, they would just be pushing each other. Like there'd be no room to do anything.
Yeah, that'd be on the level of that Divas Battle Royal where Santina won.
Yeah, no, I know.
Just called back people from the Attitude Era.
It's stupid and ridiculous, but I could have sworn on Raw somebody said 50. I might have just misheard it, and they might have said something 15 instead, and I don't know, I just zoned out for whatever reason.
So far, I think there's 17, right?
There's 17.
There's only 7. Yeah, so it shoots that.
Well, I'm sorry, no. On Raw, there were 15. There were 15.
Okay, then maybe that's where I heard it.
Yeah,
all right.
Yeah, that's possible.
So, okay. Anyway, so there was 31 last. They'll probably have another 30, 31.
I would say, yeah, right around there.
Okay, so, I mean, all right, so if we're looking at the heavies, the old heavies to win, the armbar, then who are we thinking is going to be the surprise?
Sheamus.
Yeah.
Sheamus? Yeah. So Sheamus is the surprise? No, they always bring back somebody. Do you think Razor Ramon's in armbar shape?
God, no.
Do you think,
he's a lot better because of but I still don't think he's in wrestling shape.
I don't think he has been in the last 10 years.
No.
DDP maybe?
No, DDP
He will live another 10 thanks to DDP, but yes, he will not wrestle again.
I feel like DDP just had surgery, didn't he?
I don't think so, did he?
Wasn't he like in the hospital?
Pretty good in the Rumble.
Let me look up DDP
like,
surgery.
Right after the Rumble, I thought he had like emergency surgery on his throat or something.
Yeah, he did. February 9th, he had surgery.
Yeah, that's right. I remember.
Subglottic stenosis. Yeah. I should text my wife and ask her what that means. But anyway, yeah, so he had surgery.
No, I hope we don't get any legends in this. I don't think we will.
We will.
But, you know, out of
probably a couple NXT talent.
Look at Jericho promoting his DVD.
And his podcast, of course, too.
That's great. He's got the podcast address on his shirt.
They have a Stone Cold podcast shirt now, so.
All right. Real quick, we're going extra long on this, but I do want to talk real quickly about Rusev versus John Cena. Quick shout out to DJ Clean Styles on YouTube, for talking me out of completely hating how they built John Cena. Last week I just complained about the John Cena character and how they were portraying him in this, but.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
You don't like Preacher Cena?
Oh no, I don't like heel Cena that is not heel.
But he's Preacher Cena. He's not hip hop Cena. He's Preacher Cena.
He is bully Cena who does dick things and it gets a pass for some reason.
He's passionate.
Sheamus Cena.
Yeah, right. Sheamus Cena, right. But overall this week, we got a little bit more development in it. I'm equally as negative about it, but I want to hear what you guys have to say about how they built the Rusev versus John Cena match now that it's official.
He's Preacher Cena. How can you hate him? I mean, he was totally channeling like a Southern preacher.
I'm not. My negativity is not on Cena.
You know what,
this
Garf?
week.
You got your point. You got your point. It's now for me to get up on the soapbox.
Well, do it, dude. What do you think, man?
Slam it. You know what you do? You just sit in the pew, you just wave your hands, and you say testify and
Okay.
Every time I make a point, okay?
Praise be to Joe.
So, yeah, praise be to Joe.
Don't forget amen.
Yeah, amen. Praise be to Joe. Hands down, Preacher Cena, I was just watching it going, he totally is. He's a Southern Baptist preacher right now. I mean, it's kind of funny to watch him when he wants to, as he gets, okay, so Cena, I love the guy. I think, he's fantastic. But, while his matches have gotten stale, his kind of build up to pay-per-views when he has somebody like this have starting to kind of get into a rut where he then starts to pick a kind of edgy like character. And then as the pay-per-view gets closer, he leans into it a little bit more and more. Because last time it was hip hop Cena and it was him, talking trash and throwing attitude and throwing shade and all these other things that I'm looking up on Urban Dictionary. So I know I'm saying them right.
Testify.
Thank you. So, now it's Preacher Cena. It's patriotic Preacher Cena, where he's got the crowd going. He's telling them about how they should stand up and be proud and that you can only push America so far before we stand up and we fight back. And, Lord have mercy, that type of thing. So next week, I'm looking forward to it because I really want to see if he's going to come out in a white 3-piece suit and stand at a podium and slam it down and then wipe his brow as he sweats with a handkerchief.
If he paints his face red, paints his face red and comes out, my God, I'll lose my shit.
As the fourth member of A New Day.
Yeah, not even.
Yes.
I just want him to come out as Eddie Murphy's character in Coming to America as the preacher. Sexual chocolate, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, that was actually a singer. Not a preacher, but it's all good.
Whatever. Anyway, I want that character. I want that character. But anyway, yeah, you can come out as the fourth member of New Day. But anyway, yeah, it's gonna be. I'm looking forward to next week because you just watch. It's just every time John Cena has to play like the edgy face, you just watch a slow descent into madness leading into a pay-per-view where you're like, dude, you're gonna snap. Eventually you're just gonna do something stupid. You're gonna swear or something. This is gonna be fantastic. And it's how close can you lean to the edge before you fall off.
So I appreciate what you had to say, Harrison, but I don't think you answered my question at all. Rusev versus Cena. Do you like how this story has progressed now?
Oh, God, no.
Okay.
Neither one of these guys look good. I mean, how can you build an international feud between Russia and America and have it where neither guy looks good? How do you do that? They did. Canada versus US was more exciting than this. Hart versus anyway. But yeah, I don't know. Rusev doesn't look strong.
It can be done if people actually liked Cena.
That's not it though. Even if they didn't like Cena, you can still do it. You play the patriotic angle. How can the WWE screw up a patriotic angle against Russia?
Because it's Cena.
By dragging it out 6 months longer than they should have.
Maybe that's it.
I don't know about that.
Garvin, because Cena is not a reason. Because Cena is a cop-out.
We like Rusev more than we like Cena.
He doesn't look good.
I'm going to call shenanigans on that because Cena gets plenty of good responses when he's railing against Rusev.
True.
All right. What were the chants this week, by the way? Just.
Oh, who cares?
USA, I believe.
And?
Well, yeah.
And?
I don't remember.
We want Lana.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, because that other guy was retarded. I mean, that's just obvious. I mean, you bring out the guy that can't even speak two words without sounding ridiculous, and they're gonna chant for the one that can do better. Like,
yeah, when the announcers were making fun of the guy in the ring, it's not a good sign. And that was the worst Russian accent in the world.
Oh, totally.
I think I could do a better Russian accent than that.
So, yeah, for me, the reason why I'm so negative about this is just because it doesn't make sense that you have Rusev bring a lawyer out, and the lawyer says Rusev will not accept this match because he didn't accept the match before, but you're going to hear him out anyways. And then all of a sudden, Rusev says what he has to say, and then quickly signs the contract and throws the table at Cena. Like, why is Rusev accepting that? Like, shouldn't they wait for Cena to attack Rusev? Why is Rusev coming out saying, I'm not going to accept this, but America sucks. Okay, here's your match. Like, that makes absolutely no sense.
An extension of that is let's do the finish from Fastlane where we're going to make a big deal about Cena submitting even though he didn't submit or whatever, and then maybe reference it the week after and never reference it again outside of the commentary team. Yeah. Like, I mean, shouldn't Cena care about that? Like, I technically beat you and you cheated. That should be the whole argument that Cena has to make. Hasn't said it once, just don't talk bad. I don't care if you technically make me submit when I don't, but if you talk bad about the USA, brother, I'm going to throw my table at you. Like,
I declare.
No. I'm going to receive the table that you're throwing at me for absolutely no reason.
Yes.
All right. Enough about WrestleMania 31. We're going to talk in depth about it next week. Next week is probably going to be all WrestleMania 31 build. As this is our pre-show. So, expect more WrestleMania talk because that's what we do here. So we were going to talk a little bit about TNA, but, we do not have enough time. So Nick and I did spend, about 20 minutes, talking about the week that was in TNA. You can get that on fanstalktna.com. We release new episodes of that conversation every Thursday, right around 10 a.m. in the morning. Did you say ooh?
I thought I wanted to talk about, I'm sorry, I don't want to derail things. I know it's 9 and, we got pace. We got to keep up. But I kind of wanted to talk about Undertaker and Wyatt. And Wyatt seems like they've just, once they booked it, they've been putting it in like neutral since they booked it. And there really hasn't been a whole lot of development at all in it. And I'm wondering, is this how Undertaker's matches are going to go from now on, or is there anything that could? It's just basically a larger discussion about Undertaker and Wyatt, but we don't have to do it now. We can do it next week.
Yeah, let's when we go off the air, let's schedule something. Maybe you can come on next week with us. It'd be a lot of fun.
2 weeks in a row. I don't think I can commit.
I know
to that.
it's a lot. It's a lot from you.
Did I make you pregnant? Is that why I'm committing?
That goes against my 200 episode schedule personally.
No.
We do that. Yeah, if Adam shows up again, we're going to pay him like $3 million or something. I forget what's in the contract.
Yeah, I mean, we got to think about overexposure here.
That's
He's
true.
got that Indomica Sue contract going for him.
Our Patreon account isn't doing that well, so.
Well, it's because we don't have Adam on enough, and if we had Adam on enough, we could afford to pay him what's in the contract.
That's true.
But
If I was a milestone, bam, dude, this whole thing would just blow up.
Yeah, but the problem is we can't have you on the show because we can't afford to have you on the show. So now we're stuck in this vicious cycle.
Like what comes first, Adam or the Patreon?
Really, it's just beating up Joe for signing that goddamn contract. I got this, guys. I just brewed 6 gallons of beer. I'm going to sign this contract with Adam. Doop-de-doop-de-doo. And then now, great. Now it's $20,000 every time he shows up.
What you're
saying?
Can I
just say
though?
That was a spot-on Joe impression? That sounded exactly.
It was like he was right here, right?
Yep.
Stamps.com. I cannot listen to any podcast that talks about Stamps.com without hearing Joe do Stone Cold doing the Stamps.com commercial. I'll be just driving in my car and then it's like it's like an entrepreneur podcast or something, and it's completely level-headed, and they go, no, I want to talk to you about Stamps.com, and I just laugh my ass off. This is so funny. Stamps.com! God, I want Joe to just record that so I can just have it.
Hopefully we could become like partners with them. They could sponsor us. Just
so Joe can do the thing.
Because if we can get Joe to do that every week and get paid for it at the same time, like that would be amazing.
That's true.
Milestones on Patreon, Joe's ringtones.
Joe's ringtones. Oh my god.
And it's just Joe impressions, like him doing the Ultimate Warrior, him doing Kevin.
Randy Savage lines.
Oh my god. His impression of Kevin would be so great.
Just in the middle of a crowded room, you hear, "Ooh, I'm going to kiss you."
But, and of course, his Randy Orton
hands down,
is the best.
Randy. Because he does it, and then there's that pause, and we think he's done, so we move on, and then he does it again. It's like, it just trips up the entire show.
Well, because we always think he's muted.
Yeah, he just goes Randy, and then he just stops, and then we're all like, okay, he probably muted himself. We're going to keep talking. Orton. Oh, god damn it, Joe.
Oh, Joe doing Vince. Fats from Beanbags in the live chat. I think that would work too.
Yeah, that'd be pretty good too. Joe doing Vince.
All right, so real quick, Harrison, your thoughts on Undertaker? I think that's been echoed a lot as of late, as far as just the idea that Undertaker is not showing up on Raw and how detrimental that is to the story. There were similar complaints to Sting and Sting not being on TV. We did see a little glimpse of that this week, but it's still not really enough to sell the story. So yeah, hopefully we'll have a change of that next week, but we'll see. Let's talk some NXT.
Down.
Before we begin NXT talk, we did crown a Fans Talk WWE champion back in January. On January 6th, the first episode of the year, we crowned Sami Zayn champion. That was over on FTW258. There has not been much change, so that's why we really haven't talked about it on the show. But on February 11th, Kevin Owens won. Obviously, he defeated Sami Zayn at NXT TakeOver Rival. And the way Kevin Owens has been built, it doesn't really seem like there's any sign of him slowing down or any sign of him, meeting that match. So that's why we really haven't brought it up. But this week, it looks like he's got a little bit of competition. So let's talk about that competition, and what is currently standing in Kevin Owens' way. And I don't know, I just want to get your guys' opinion on everything going on. So right now, Alex Riley versus Kevin Owens. So Alex Riley is finally away from the commentating table and is back as a wrestler. Think of all, do you like where they're going with this as far as Alex Riley's return to a WWE ring? And do you think he has any chance whatsoever at getting a win, even a non-title win over Kevin Owens?
I love it personally. The promo that he cut backstage was probably one of the best things I've ever seen Riley do in his entire career, and I think he's really fired up for it. I don't necessarily see him. I definitely don't see him taking the title from Owens. He may get a win, maybe, but I don't think that matters. I think I trust NXT to be able to do this storyline. And at the end of the day, both guys will get over. You know, I think that honestly, Riley's already getting over tremendously. I will say there's been a couple like flubs here and there. I love that the week before when Owens poured water on his head and Jason Albert, I don't know why they added the Jason, but whatever, had to hold him back and said like, hey man, think about your kids, think about your family and all that stuff. And then the very next week, I don't have a family, so I have nothing to fight for but myself. Like, I thought that was hilarious. But aside from little things like that, I think the build's been really great. I'm really excited to see a match from them, regardless of who wins, honestly.
Yeah, I highly doubt Alex Riley will get any sort of win over Kevin Owens. Maybe a DQ win. In fact, that could be the likely outcome. Owens just beats the hell out of Riley so bad that they stop the match, just like they did with Zayn. With that said, I've enjoyed Riley transitioning back to the active roster a lot more than I really thought I would have. From what I can remember of his time previous as a wrestler, he wasn't that great. Certainly didn't stand out to me. But now, I think I'd be okay with him becoming a wrestler again full time, even on the main roster. I think he's learned a lot as a commentator. That backstage promo, that was pretty good to me.
Yeah.
So I'd definitely be okay seeing him back on the main roster.
Yeah, I never understood why they took Alex Riley off TV. You know, why they stopped having him wrestle. I thought what he did in the ring was pretty good. You know, he was still a rookie for all intents and purposes when he was with Miz. So, you know, for him to, you know, and there's lots of rumors as far as like what actually caused that, like some kind of behind the scenes situation with John Cena. But regardless, I mean, for them to keep this guy off of TV for so long and then pigeonhole him into a commentary spot, I think it definitely did a disservice to themselves because of what we're seeing now, which, you know, is a guy who is fantastic on the mic. He's delivering promos with so much passion, so much energy. And that's something that we don't get enough of. You know, guys that can deliver like that, and in the ring, he's damn good. So, overall, I'm excited with what they do with A-Rai. As far as his chances against Kevin Owens, I don't see them very high. I don't see any way he gets a win. I hope he doesn't. This is my fear, to be honest, like, because Nick, you mentioned this idea where, A-Rai gets a DQ win over Kevin Owens, thus becoming the new Fans Talk WWE champion, and then going back to the commentary table for the rest of his career.
He retires with our title. That can't happen.
I think that would be great, actually. I mean, come on. There's no more definitive person than someone that retires with the title. I mean, that's just ultimate career ending right there.
So, okay, after A-Rai, though, we've also got Finn Balor. So Finn Balor won the tournament to determine who is going to face Kevin Owens at whatever event that they do this. I'm guessing it'll be another live pay-per-view style event like a NXT TakeOver, Ival or something like that. You know, Iva, thereabouts. So yeah,
NXT Gravel.
Thoughts on this match? Do you think Finn Balor is going to be the guy that can overtake Kevin Owens, or do you think Owens will retain the title?
I see Owens retaining. I have no doubt this would be an excellent match. On the other hand, I don't see Balor losing clean. My personal theory is that Owens, after a while, he might just walk out. Because it seems to be the pattern that they're trying to make Owens look different as far as how he wrestles, how he operates in NXT. And I don't think anybody would have seen the referee stoppage resulting in him getting the title. Similarly, I don't think anybody really expects a title match to just end in a count out. So yeah, I could definitely see Owens giving the proverbial middle finger, if not the literal middle finger, to Balor, the audience, and anybody he sees, and just walk out.
If Orton could do it, Owens could do it.
Yeah.
As far as Finn Balor goes, again, like Nick said, I think the match is going to be outstanding. Owens, I think, is one of those guys that just can put on, a really good match with just about any opponent. But I definitely think if there's a place where he might excel in that area, it's with someone that can kind of take a bump, for lack of a better word. Like he had a great match with Adrian Neville. He had an outstanding match with Sami Zayn. A guy like Finn Balor has a similar, if not more, aerial style than both of those guys, and I think they're going to match up really well. I definitely don't see Finn Balor as champion just yet. I think if anyone's going to take the belt off of Kevin Owens, it seems pretty obvious. It's probably going to be Zayn whenever he decides to come back. That would be the better story to tell, anyway. And yeah, it's just, it's NXT has definitely become, something that I really don't want to miss. Whereas, with Raw, I can't lie, if I have it taped, I might, fast forward through a couple things and be like, oh, well, I kind of got the gist of it. It's all good. Mm-hmm. With all the things that NXT is doing right now, everything, like, I can't talk highly enough of it. It definitely feels like can't miss TV or, internet video, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
And there's just not much else I could say about it.
I want to talk about that, but before we do, just to jump on this topic, I like the idea of Balor versus Owens. I think it's going to be a fantastic match, but I cannot see Balor taking the title unless, like, you get Sami Zayn involved, and then it's Sami Zayn versus Owens. But I almost feel like that requires the title to be there, so that Zayn has that opportunity to take what's most important from Owens, and that's the title off of him. So,
that brings up a pretty good potential storyline. What if Zayn returns and somewhere or another costs Balor the match, so that he, in turn, gets the chance to fight Owens for the title again instead of Balor?
I like it.
Definitely a possibility.
Yeah, as long as we get Zayn versus Owens for the title, I'm happy. I hope that's what we get soon. But Balor, Balor's very new still. And okay, so let me step back from that statement. Obviously, Owens was very new too, and was like made champion in his first second match, maybe. Yeah, I think it was his second match, and he won the title. So it's not totally out of nowhere that they would put the title on Balor. But still, I would rather see Owens keep the title just for what that would mean in the next story, which is against Zayn again.
I definitely think too that an NXT crowd, at least the Full Sail crowd anyway, is definitely more used to Owens as his time as Steen and all that stuff. Whereas I'm sure that there are people that knew Devitt before he became Finn Balor, but I don't think as many people were in Owens' first match, he had freaking, like, don't get me wrong, people cheered for Balor in his first match, but they did Owens gonna kill you. They knew spot on all of his like little mannerisms and all that stuff. And I don't think Balor necessarily had that. So I think that sort of differentiates the new feeling between the two.
Okay. I'm getting some information from the live chat. When we started recording, we did not have any kind of timetable for Kevin Owens. So before we talk about, so he had knee surgery. If you're not aware, Kevin Owens, was announced he had knee surgery, by WWE.com. There, at the time that they released the story, there was no timetable. Beanbags, real quick. Can you verify that before we say it out loud? But yeah, there was no real timetable, suggested on when he would be coming back. But Kevin Owens tweeted that he was not on crutches. He was already working out on it. So it didn't seem like that big of a deal.
Yeah, the implication is that it was pretty minor.
I gotta be honest, I hadn't heard anything about that until
it was today. It was announced today.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I would think it would be pretty minor. I think they'd make a bigger deal out of it if he was going to be missing more time, but I don't know.
Okay, I'm delaying. Give me a second.
Vamp.
Oh, okay. All right. No, okay, still no timetable. Yeah, there's still no timetable, but with the way NXT's schedule is, I don't think necessarily he would need to take time off. He doesn't have to compete every show. And also they record like maybe 4 or 5 shows at a time. So, yeah, he should be okay. But yeah, because of that, there was a lot of fear, I think, when the initial report came out that, we could see the title leave him sooner than later. But, I think we're still ways ahead of that. They just started touring. So they toured in Cleveland and Columbus. And they're just announced a touring schedule for WrestleMania weekend. So overall, let's talk about that real quick because, Adam, you mentioned this is must-see TV. And for sure, I agree with you. And a lot of people agree with you. And, if you haven't, we'll throw this link in the show notes. But if you haven't watched, there was some footage from the Cleveland show released by WWE.com, as far as some backstage interviews with Charlotte and, Sami Zayn and a few others, that basically showed how excited and thrilled and overall, satisfied they were as wrestlers. They were talking about how this felt like a WrestleMania level moment to go in front of the Cleveland crowd and go in front of the Columbus crowd because of how supportive they were. And in those interviews, they did talk about the idea of how NXT is becoming its own brand. So that's something that we've discussed on the show before. Should NXT be that competition for WWE? Not necessarily for TV time, but just overall energy. A lot of people are raving about NXT despite it being the developmental system. A lot of people are looking at NXT as being better and more entertaining than what's happening on Raw every week. So, should WWE continue to push that and continue to, build that idea as far as NXT being its own brand and being competition and touring like on a full live schedule? Or do you think that they should continue doing what they've been doing with NXT as far as just, leaving it in Full Sail University and helping build guys that will eventually be in the main roster? What do you guys think should happen right now?
Well, I kind of echo Nick's past statements in past shows that it's still very much a developmental territory, and I think that's really where it needs to stay. I feel like if you start to put them in competition with the bigger shows, the focus of what makes NXT great is going to start to be lost a little bit. I mean, NXT is sort of this, I don't know what you'd call it. Like it's sort of, I guess, a diamond in the rough, essentially, not buried, but concealed within WWE's system. And I think because of that, they have been allowed to be as entertaining as they are. It's sort of WWE's way of saying, like, this is the alternative that people have been talking about. If that's what you want, here it is right here. We're going to go ahead and do our, the stuff we want to do on Raw, but the stuff that you guys really want is going to be on NXT. And I feel like if you bring them into, like, then it's going to start getting diluted. It's going to be more affected by it's going to be more affected by I think the creative side of like Raw and SmackDown and all that stuff, because it's going to need to start tying into those shows if it's going to compete with them. That said, I do think that a great option that they have is maybe taking some of the fundamentals with creative that they've been doing with NXT and applying them to Raw and SmackDown. That I think would definitely really improve a lot of people's opinions on WWE. I mean, it's clearly working. I feel, and it's clearly got such a groundswell. I feel like, whether it's Dusty or it's Triple H or whoever, I feel like they have an easy argument to present to Vince and be like, look, there are fans that are like chomping at the bit to watch these shows and to go to the live events and all that stuff. Why can't we take this and apply it to what, our main roster stuff, and think of how much more successful we could be? I mean, right now, regardless of the complaints, WWE to me feels like it's always going to be WWE. It's always going to do, what it does. Whether it's popular or unpopular, they have the resources and the stamp on entertainment to just continue chugging along forever and ever, I think. And I feel like they've become stagnant because of that. They're like, well, nothing can really knock us down at this point. And I really don't feel like anything could. No disrespect to TNA, but I mean, they're from a financial and I don't know what you call it, just again, a stamp on entertainment aspect. I don't feel like they're ever going to close the gap, no matter how successful their wrestling and in-ring product is. I mean, WWE's got such a high lead. So I feel like if they don't want to be stagnant, then taking the example of storytelling that NXT has provided is the best way to do that. I mean, I don't know if that would really be heard, but I feel like it should be.
Damn it. I was so excited because everything that you said, Adam, is exactly what I was going to say. Only change would be I would just slow play it. Just because, like you said, I mean, they got something special here with NXT, and who knows where it's going to be. So, damn it, yeah. That's everything you said is exactly what I was thinking. Because, I don't really watch NXT, but just the reverberations from when I listen to the show and what I see you guys talking about and where I see, professional wrestling fans talk about NXT is that WWE has something special here. And I think the idea of them going, great, we got something special here. Let's WWE universe it. So let's make it a big thing. Let's tour the country. Let's send them around the world.
Let's ruin it.
Yeah, you're going to ruin it. So just slow play it. A little bit here, a little bit there. And I think the WWE knows that because if you've been watching NXT, I'm sure you've noticed it because I've noticed it and I don't even watch it. They're tweaking things a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit here, a little bit there. There are a lot of levers, and the trick is you don't want to push all the levers at once. You want to push each one just a little bit to get exactly where you want it to be, exactly where you want it to go. And just from what you guys have said and from what I've read about NXT and the clips that I've seen, that's definitely where they're going with this. And the WWE, they're not stupid. They know exactly what they're doing.
Yeah, I mean, you guys raised a lot of good points. NXT is definitely something special on its own, and you can't bring it into direct competition with the main roster shows. Apart from the idea that it's developmental, you don't want them mixing with main roster talent too much. For one thing, you might be picking up a lot of bad habits that main roster talent have learned. I don't know what those would be, but it's clear that there's some reason that a lot of the main roster talent isn't on TV. The one thing I don't think is necessarily exclusive to keeping NXT separate is touring. I think touring has been long overdue for NXT. It's an important part of any wrestler learning to become a professional wrestler. You hear a lot about how guys come up in the business and they travel all over the place to learn to grow as performers. And it's why you hear about guys like CM Punk and Colt Cabana when they would travel from Chicago to Minnesota or the East Coast or even the West Coast. They travel all over the place because that's what they needed to do, not only to work, but also to improve as performers. And that's something NXT talent needs more than anything if they're going to move up to the main roster and be successful, is they've got to learn how to perform for different crowds. Full Sail's great, but it's patently obvious that that's not anywhere near indicative of the average WWE audience. So you've got to learn how to adapt for different audiences. You got to learn how to adapt for a Chicago audience, a Philadelphia audience, a Los Angeles audience, a bumfuck Idaho audience. Wherever you go, you've got to learn how to perform for different people. So, in my opinion, going on tour is long overdue.
Yeah, I don't know. We've talked about this before, and what you guys all said was great. I don't want to, like, Robert in the live chat is noting that, they've already added NXT talent to 2K15, and they've already got toys and replica belts and merch and stuff. So it is kind of a legit brand by itself, but they, Robert and a lot of fans like that, feel that they should continue to push it. I'm not sure if I'm ready for that because I feel, like I said before, that WWE will ruin it in some capacity. Like, we're all hot on it, but as soon as Vince McMahon gets involved, It's not going to go the way we want it to go. So, but one idea that was pushed out this week, and I think we'll talk a little bit more about this in the coming weeks, especially after we see what happens at the live show during WrestleMania week. But just the idea that maybe Triple H is going to push NXT to take on the indie scene. We're seeing a lot of weird language lately being released by indie companies as far as how good they're doing. Just because like with Tommy Dreamer releasing some stats as far as how much money he lost because of piracy from one site. We've got the FWE, which is a big independent company that brings in a lot of great talent. They just did a main event between AJ Styles and Johnny Mundo or John Morrison, and they lost so much money on it because of piracy. So because of that, and because a lot of indie feds are closing, it almost makes sense that WWE would try to do what they basically did in the 70s and 80s, and that is, go after the regional systems with the main WWF show. That's what they did. They went after the main system, picked the best talent that they could from each of the rosters as those companies were dying. So I almost would rather see if they would try to do the same thing on the indie scene. I'm not saying it's a good idea. I'm not saying it will help the business at all. It won't. It'll hurt the business. But I think that would make a bigger difference than if they would compete with the main roster.
I don't necessarily know that you can do that with the indies today, because what we refer to as the indies are a lot different than the territories of old.
Sure.
Like, for instance, you've got, a lot of the bigger indies now are subsidiaries of what are essentially the WWE of their own countries. Like Lucha Underground is AAA's US promotion.
Mm-hmm.
Dragon Gate USA is Dragon Gate's North American promotion. And you got a few other things like that. Additionally, you got Shine, Evolve. They're also under the Dragon Gate banner. And then there's other ones like PWG where they seem to be doing well enough on their own that I don't think NXT is really that much of competition for them. And you can't really raid one particular indie for talent and have it go under, because that talent isn't specific to that particular promotion. Like, they rotate around a lot more than the old time wrestlers used to.
Sure. But what you're looking at is, and this is being talked about in the live chat, like Lucha Underground is not an indie company. NJPW is not an indie company. Those are your exceptions. Those are your large companies. Lucha Underground is attached to AAA, so those are your large companies in other markets that are surviving. But you've got a lot of indie promotions that are not surviving. Like FTW is talking about closing. I'm sorry, FWE.
What?
Is what did I say?
You said
FTW.
I'm sorry. FWE is closing.
We're not going anywhere yet,
Patreon. Guys, you gotta get on that. We gotta save FTW.
Breaking news.
Yeah, so, but you've got companies that are, considering stopping, even though they're putting on great matches and they're bringing great talent together. They're not making enough money that it makes sense.
Sure, but where one indie fed closes, at least one other pops up. You got wrestlers like Joey Ryan who are talking about there's never been a better time to be an indie wrestler.
Well, we heard
they're
the same
actually
things.
making decent money now.
Yeah, and we heard the same things from like Jeff Jarrett when he was doing GFW. There's got to be a reason why Jeff Jarrett has waited almost 2 years now since he first started hyping Global Force Wrestling to actually do anything.
He wanted a shot at Spike.
All right. Well, we'll continue this conversation over on the other side. There's a lot of Ask FTW questions that were also sent our way as far as what should happen after WrestleMania. We're not going to be able to talk about it today on the free show. Hopefully we can talk a little bit about it over on the on FTW Fallout, but otherwise we'll talk about it in the next couple of weeks or so. But But yeah, real quick, shout outs to Michael Hupak, Chewy, Beanbags, and Ishmael Carmichael for sending in those questions. We'll get to them as soon as we can. But right now, win fail. Nick, what was your win of the week?
I think honestly my win has to go to Alex Riley. Just because how much he wowed me, frankly. He blew away any expectations that I could have had. He had the crowd on his side to an insane degree, which I never would have expected. And overall, he's been doing very well for himself. It's only been a week that he's been in the ring that we've seen on TV, but he looked good. Gotta give it to him.
Adam.
So, I think I'd probably have to, sure this is sort of an obvious win, but, I'm gonna give it to Heyman this week. God damn that guy. Every time he picks up a microphone, I'm like that little kid, pupils immediately dilated, just hands under my chin, just enthralled, like, by everything he has to say. So, both his backstage statement and, even though I did kind of feel it was a little redundant to have him talk about Brock Lesnar when Brock Lesnar talked about himself on the same show, still, I mean, it's friggin' Heyman, and good lord. I wish he would just talk the entire 3 hours. That would actually make it entertaining.
Harrison, your win of the week?
My win of the week is hands down. Well, really, it wasn't until we got into the discussion. Before it was something else. It was what was the 6-man tag match? But I think I'd have to give it to Nikki Bella. I mean, to be honest, the more I think about it, the more I talk about how far she has come in terms of the past year and where she was just the last time I've really watched her wrestle. I mean, she's gotten so much better. I mean, just so much better. She's not where I think she should be. And I don't know if she'll ever reach that potential, but it's going to be a hell of a ride to watch her get better. I also don't know if this means that she's outperforming Brie. But, yeah, I mean, for me, my win this week has to go to Nikki Bella. How about that, huh? A Bella gets a win of the week.
Times are changing.
The times we live in, man.
Yeah.
Joe might have a connection fit.
Which is odd because one of my favorite quotes from Nikki Bella this week was, hashtag give divas a chance, hashtag give us a break. And at the time I was thinking, man, if they did give you a break, man, the divas would be awesome. Oh, but anyways,
that break is called Total Divas.
That's deliciously meta what she wrote there. To be honest with you, that's awesome.
All right, so let's go with some wins from the live chat. The IC title 6-man tag on Raw. A win for EC3 and the way he ended his match on TNA, and we talked again about that on Fans Talk TNA this week, so definitely check that out. Sting and Randy Orton teaming up to fight the Authority at the end of Raw. Some more wins for TNA and ROH and NXT, and AJ Styles capturing the FWE Heavyweight Championship that apparently no one paid to watch. Agreed, Robert. We also got wins for the Iowa crowd this week. There was no what chance during Wyatt's promo and supporting the opening Divas match. I agree with that. There was no anti-Divas chance. There was no CM Punk chance. The crowd was into the match. That was nice to see.
Yeah. That's another good one. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. I didn't even notice it.
Did they take that crowd on the road with them?
Yeah.
Just give them all tickets. Yeah. Everyone, we're giving you bus passes.
They did still chant Daniel Bryan when Roman Reigns started talking.
Oh, yeah. Well, there was that.
Hey, look, all right, all the people who were managing the crowd, like the good parts of the crowd, they were all in the bathroom during that part, probably.
Yeah, you can't win them all.
Yeah,
how about that
like,
stupid guy right over Roman Reigns' shoulder doing the little fucking weird... God, that guy was fucking annoying me.
Yes, there was quite a few complaints, quite a few stories as far as the crowd goes. And I don't know. It's hard to tell like what's true and what's not true, but one of the main stories was that you've got a big group of people that sat right in front of the hard camera and dressed up, and then were told that they were distracting because they were, dressed up as WWE legends, so they were made to change into like John Cena and Usos gear.
That's
Yeah.
kind of bullshit. I mean, I've seen.
It is and it isn't.
They were giving free T-shirts. What's there to complain about?
I suppose those things are $25. Ridiculous.
I mean, when it's like one guy who is your Hulk Hogan or your Macho Man, I mean, that's one thing. But when it's 6 or 7 guys who are right there, front row,
I suppose.
and that's
still
what you
argue
see on
that
TV.
one
They
guy-
weren't just sitting their hands folded in their laps either.
Yeah. So
I would
don't
still argue one guy can kind of be distracting. If you've seen the Hulk Hogan, and immediately, subconsciously even, you want to look for him
Trust
as
me.
many times as you can.
Trust me, every time that I've ever went to a show, I won't if I watch the show back, I have no idea what's going on because the entire time I'm looking for myself.
I did that when I went to Mania 27. Try and pick yourself out of that crowd.
Yeah. All right, fails. Nick, your fail of the week.
My fail is the fact that apparently commentary can't tell the members of the New Day apart. I don't think Cole has successfully identified Kofi from Xavier Woods once since that group formed. And I don't get it.
Yeah, they don't really look all that alike.
No. The only thing I can figure is that old stereotype and all those people look alike, don't they?
Well, they have similar
Right.
hair.
Similar.
All those people
but-
in a tag team look alike.
They both wrestle without a shirt on.
Wrestlers all look alike, obviously.
Oh yeah, Adam.
all
Yeah,
those people.
yeah, good point.
Yeah, but if they can work out a system to where they can tell the Usos apart or the Bellas apart, well, obviously they can tell the Bellas apart now, but yeah, they've never had any problems working out a system to tell twins apart. These guys obviously are not twins. You can figure it out if you actually work at it. If you can actually be competent at your job for 2 seconds.
I think Kofi's taller.
I will say
Yeah.
that as far as the twins go, there is a pretty significant physical difference to tell them apart now,
Yeah.
which most men would not be lost on. I'm just saying.
No.
If you're
Garvin,
talking about the
you'll
Usos, I still don't know who is who.
That's true. They've made sure to get the tattoos so that they perfectly mirror each other,
Yeah.
so they could
Yeah,
do
which
the
is like
mirror
the
bit.
Just the worst.
I'm surprised WWE hasn't had them do a mirror bullshit segment in the middle of the ring where they're just mimicking
they
each
did
other's
it
moves.
once.
Oh, jeez. I'm
Like,
glad I missed it then.
No, I'm with you on that one, Nick. Although the only thing is, Garvin, I mean, you'd only be able to tell Kofi's taller if he's standing right next to, Xavier Woods. So how would you get around that one if they're on the other side of the ring?
That's true.
Yeah, see a ring announcer's job is a lot harder than
Well,
than
and they're looking at tiny monitors, man.
We're also dancing around the point that Xavier should never have cut his hair. That freaking
And they all wear blue.
throw was awesome.
They all wear blue.
I do miss the
They
fro.
all clap. How can you not tell them apart?
Okay. Who else did not give fails?
I didn't give a fail.
Okay, what's your fail of the week?
So Heyman's out on the mic, right? And he's doing his Heyman thing, which is crushing it. Rusev out there, praying to bro's side on the mic and totally knocking it out of the park. And then Roman Reigns comes down. You think, oh, this is going to be great. They're going to give a standoff. And then they give the mic to Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
Why? Why did they think that was going to be a good idea? The only thing I could think of is that there's like a checklist that has to be done before every pay-per-view match where both guys have to stare down with a microphone. And then the WWE is like, look, it's on the list. We got to do it. And they're like, but it's Roman Reigns and he's facing off against Heyman. They're like, hey, bro, it's on the list. We got to do it. So they're like, all right, fine, fuck it. We'll just do it. It's on the list. We'll just get through it. We'll just do it. It'll be like a 2-minute segment. We'll do it in the middle of the show. We won't close with it. It'll be fine. And it was just painful as hell.
I'll defend Roman slightly here in the fact that he didn't end his promo by saying "biddy biddy biddy." That's all, folks. All right, so that's definitely an improvement.
I love he reads his shirt, then pauses and looks back. And what did he say afterwards? Because I believe.
That.
Yeah, I believe that. But there was yeah, you're right. There was like this awkward pause where it's like, because I believe that. It was weird. There was a way he said it. I just remember sitting on the couch staring at it going, okay, that happened. Like, that was a fail. I'm sorry. But it was going to be a fail. Like, if they put it on the shirt, if they put it on the thing, they put it on the sheet at the top of the show and they said, and later on today, Paul Heyman has a mic battle with Roman Reigns. You're like, okay, that's going to be 5 minutes of wasted time.
Well, technically, Heyman really had the mic battle with whoever's doing the sound that keeps cutting his mic.
That was great. That was great. But again, Heyman was able to basically have an argument with nobody, and it was far more entertaining than him having an argument with somebody.
It's true.
Because the somebody was just dragging it down. But anyway, yeah, that was the fail.
Right on.
Mm-hmm.
All right, some fails from the live chat. Go ahead.
I didn't get a fail.
That's fine.
It's cool. I know I'm the special guest. You just look me right over. That's all good.
You guys
That's
have
another
gone like 15 minutes on win fail. I figured maybe
Damn
it's
it, Gar-
time to move on.
Didn't you read the contract? It's like another $8,000 now that we own.
Go ahead.
So, I know it's a couple weeks late, but hey, I don't show up on these shows too often. My fail is dropping the ball on Goldust Stardust, man. I know they're going off on their own thing. I suppose the one good thing by separating them for this month is if maybe Stardust gets the IC title and Goldust gets the armbar trophy, and then they kind of use that for their feud. I really don't see that happening. And it's like a 99.9 chance that a snowball will form in hell before that happens. But man, so people are bitching about Daniel Bryan, being in the Intercontinental. I'm kind of bitching about Stardust. I know he's going to do some great stuff, just as Daniel Bryan would do, but I don't see him winning. It'd be great if he did, but I don't see him winning. I feel like this is just, hey, let's put, whatever's going on. Let's just split them up and do whatever. And it's just disappointing. I mean, I finally felt, I know we've been waiting, or maybe not waiting, but it was talked about 2 years prior. Now we might have actually finally been able to have Goldust give
at WrestleMania.
Cody that rub at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
And then they just freaking tear the rug right out from under us, man.
Agreed. Yeah.
It's not cool.
Yeah,
that's cockblock, WWE. That's cockblock.
Yeah, it's a total shame. Because
that is WWE being a stripper. That's all I'm saying.
Wait, what do you expect to have happen when you go, you know what, I don't want to know. You're going to take our $25,000 from this appearance and you're going to go straight to the strip club.
It's true.
All right, some fails.
St. Patrick's Day, bro.
Yeah. Some fails from the live chat. We've got Destination America turning the screen black and white when they show blood. Robert, that was for 6 seconds of that match. There was so much blood.
It was the most brutal 6 seconds of that match.
Listen to Fans Talk TNA this week. Nick and I talked quite a bit about that. Agree. Yep. It was annoying how they did it, but I think we understand why they did it. Just not in the capacity that they did it. All right. Fail was the post-show interview thing on the network. It was a minute of Sting talking and a minute of Orton talking. Yeah, I could see how that'd be annoying. You know what's weird about that is that they promoted that at the end of Raw when Sting was still in the ring.
Right? Yeah.
No one knew.
Yeah,
no one knew Sting was going to be there. Yet they know Sting's going to be interviewed. Like
the exclusive interview with Randy Orton. Yeah, that. Thank you. I was thinking about that just as you were talking about the post show. I'm like, that's right. That was so weird. They're like, and now an exclusive interview with a guy who just showed up that we didn't know about. When did he agree to this?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was weird. That was just weird, man.
It's because Sting's mysterious.
Yeah.
You can't tell.
One of his crow calls was consent.
One of the crows has power of attorney, is what you're saying, so is able to contractually obligate him to an interview after the show.
It's like Odin with thought and memory.
Diva Jill is giving a fail to WWE as a whole, from alienating fans to commentary. So yes, like I was stating before, a lot of fans are disappointed that other fans have been mistreated by WWE.
Oh, it's not like they've been touching you inappropriately. It's just the show's been kind of lackluster in certain areas.
Stealing Daniel Bryan signs, because there's enough Daniel Bryan signs out there.
They don't say anything interesting either. They all just say Daniel Bryan. Or yes, yes,
they
yes.
used to say fear the beard.
Yeah, now all they do is they just say yes, yes, yes. WWE's doing us a service by not having that beacon of creativity that you showed up at with your $2 you spent at the local Walgreens to get markers and poster board.
Yeah.
To write yes, yes, yes on a poster.
Hey, some of those markers are freaking expensive, man. Let me just tell you that right now.
You amortize over the course of you using it over the few years, and it's not as expensive as you think. I mean, you're not going to use it for the poster board to be like, well, I'm done with these markers and throw them out.
My favorite signs are the 8x11 like pen on paper.
Like it's written on the back of it.
It's not even a name. It's just like an arrow pointing down.
Or the guy behind me can't see.
Yeah.
They put that in the games.
They did.
That's a sign you could use on the games. That's great.
Speaking of games, fail from Beanbags for Josh Matthews doing commentary this week on TNA, and Taz saying written lines. So we didn't talk about this at all on Fans Talk TNA, and I know we're going super long in here, but I did want to spend like just a quick, brief 30 seconds on this. I thought that Taz sounded like he was reading lines from a video game.
Agreed.
That's what he sounded like.
Yep.
It didn't sound like he was calling anything specifically happening during the match. It was just all generic lines. It was kind of sad.
Okay, here's a question for you. I didn't watch TNA, but here's a question. Did you actually see him on camera at any point?
Nope. No, I don't think so.
Okay, so he could have been
an app. Matthews
so then he could have been a Taz mobile app that somebody was operating like soundboard.
Just a soundboard.
If freaking Josh Matthews was just holding up his phone to the microphone, that would have been so great.
He's just got like an iPad plugged into something.
And it's got like an angry picture of freaking Taz on it, like crossing his arms.
No, it's like printed out and it's just sitting on the chair next to him. But then the iPad is just like sound, like different, like, yeah, it's like a soundboard, but it's all just like different Taz faces that you have to hit in order to hit the different button. So then, like, and like pictures of a pigeon. So you hit that one, he goes, "Oh, the pigeons are getting loose," and then he just keeps doing it. Did you see Taz on camera? Because that might have been what they did.
Yeah, no, I've heard a few different stories on what took place, but yeah, it's a shame that they did that versus just have like Jeremy Borash sit down with Josh Matthews for a week or something like that. I don't know. Another fail, last fail from the live chat. We've got Jey Uso getting injured. So yeah, that's something we didn't talk about for the WrestleMania build. Just because we don't necessarily know the extent of the injury yet, but he did injure his shoulder on SmackDown this week. So meaning the Usos are most likely out of the WrestleMania match, which would be a major shame. But we'll talk a bit.
That's why
more
the
about
Matadors are fighting him.
Yeah. So
I thought that was so random.
We'll see.
It's still random.
We'll see what happens next week
beforehand. But
all right. Any final thoughts before we head out, guys?
Thanks for having me on.
Me too.
Okay, cool. Last week, WWE Total Divas had their season 3 finale, and with it, Michelle released her season end review episode of Fans Talk Total Divas. So I know quite a few of you are listening to that. You can find that over at fanstalkwrestling.com. But we've got a bit of a gap in our programming. As Total Divas is now done. It won't be returning until the summer. So, we want a little bit of feedback from you guys. So if you can head on over to fanstalkwrestling.com/vote and let us know if you want to see not only if that series should be continued, but, everything else that we've got going on. We've gone through this routine where we're releasing about between 3 and 4 hours of content every single week. So, is that cool? Do you like receiving that much content? Should we try to fill that hole with something else? Or what? Let us know. fanstalkwrestling.com/vote. Yes, Harrison?
No.
Sorry.
Am I supposed to talk about something right now?
Oh, okay. Misread the timestamp on that chat message. Sorry. All right, and that's the end of tonight's show. Again, thank you everyone who has joined the paid FTW membership side of things, the FTW community. Your help has been fantastic. We hope more of you join us over there. You can go to fanstalkwrestling.com, click the big green button, and pledge a few dollars a month our way. It'll go to a great cause, which is, us sitting around talking about wrestling with our friends. It's always fun.
Yeah, next time you go and get coffee, just stop and say, this one time I'm going to get coffee. But the next time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that money and I'm just going to kick it to the FTW podcast this one time out of the entire month.
Just once a month.
Once a month.
Don't let us close.
1 cup of coffee a month. Just buy us a cup of coffee once a month.
Get a small latte from Starbucks.
Duke us the change.
Yeah. Thanks to everyone listening on iTunes, SoundCloud, YouTube, Stitcher, TuneIn, however you listen. Thank you so much for doing so. If you listen through a service that lets you leave ratings and reviews, please do so as well. Let everyone know why they should listen to the FTW podcast. Goodbye, everyone. We will see you next Tuesday. Later.